Bonjour! Last video, you saw me choose the saddest frog in existence as the thing I'm going to crochet in French. And today I'm going to start it. So, last time I also mentioned that there was no abbreviation page because the abbreviations were there. So, I already made my own little cheat sheet for what the abbreviations are. And I just looked at them ahead of time compared to the back. So it looks like it's just a chain, the slip, and the single. So that part shouldn't be too difficult, hopefully. I got myself a little crochet hook here. I got myself some yarn that I probably should have rolled into a ball, but I didn't. Be a nice colored frog, even if it's not the same exact shade of green as the frog here. But we'll see. So this, it says les pattes antérieures, le corps, la tête, les pattes avant, les yeux, les assemblages, I know. It's putting it together. I have a feeling it's having me start with the legs. Is that what's going on? They're having me start with the legs? Because I assume le corps is the body. Elles se commencent par la pied. I know in Spanish, las pies is like the feet. So I'm guessing it's having me start with the feet. Anyway, it wants me to start with the magic circle. The circle magique. With 12 stitches. That's a lot. Also, what I like here is that, let me set up. Oh, it's already set up. My row counter is already set up. It wants me to start the, thing with 12, but also like each row starts with the word tour, so it's like I do a little tour around. All right. It's like I don't really know what the individual words are, but I recognize the thing enough to kind of figure it out. Anyway, so we're going to start with 12. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now we pull it. Yeah, this is why I'm not like crazy about doing much more than 6 with the magic circle, because then you get that little like hole right there. If it gets too big. I mean, you pull it as much as you can, but you can't help the hole. And then it wants me to increase it looks like faz un augmenta track, and like there's the nice thing at the end is that it says like M equals, I'm guessing M is what this abbreviation for the stitch, which I guess Mali is stitch. So it's saying what the end result is, which is helpful. So I know that this, much like any other crochet pattern, is like increase 1 in every stitch, especially since it goes from 12 to 24. So now I increase. Oop. And each one. Yeah, I know, like, the next one. Oh. I guess this is just going to be, like, the little footy thing that I'm making right here. Because usually the next row would be, like, increase even more, but it looks like the row after this is just, like, 1 in each of the stitches, and then it's having me decrease. This is definitely not going to be very big. But also, it's like, it's trying to fit a lot into one space here. Oh my gosh. Because since it's having me increase in every stitch, I don't know if you can tell, but it's having a hard time laying flat. The stitch is kind of like chasing into the territory above the stitch I'm supposed to be working on. I guess I should probably start keeping track. There you go. I probably shouldn't have put that right next to my ear. Okay. Anyway, just 1 stitch in each of the 24. Just like that. Just some chill crocheting as we go along. Yeah, you can see it's not really lying flat. It's kind of molding to my thumb. Easily, I should say. Also, it's possible maybe I'm not using the right hook size, but I didn't think it would have that much of a difference, honestly. I had the feeling it would happen regardless of the hook. Ooh. There we go. Oh, that's going to be like a big foot. If this is, like, I'm going under the assumption this is a foot because I'm assuming le corps is the body and la tête is the head. Which made me realize I kind of know the words to alouette. It's like alouette, chante alouette, alouette, chante plumer tête, chante plumer la tête, chante plumer la tête. I'm kind of blurring the words now, but yeah. Like I've seen videos of people singing that song. It's like a common camp song theme too. Yeah. There we go. It's like the yarn separated itself there. The yarn's doing that squealing thing. I think my tension's a little bit off lately because the things I've been crocheting lately, it's been having that squealing noise and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just always there and I haven't noticed it, or maybe like that's how stress is deciding to come out. It's like the yarn is crying. Not crazy about when the yarn cries. Wait, I lost track. One, two, three, four. Okay. I forgot to keep track on the counter. I knew where I was in my head, but if I had forgotten it, I would have made a mistake. Like, if I had just put this down and walked away, I would have made a mistake. So, we're back on track now. Now for the 5th row, it wants me to do 2 stitches, then 1 decrease, and repeat all around, so it goes from 24 to 18. Simple enough. So it goes 1, 2, and then we decrease. From 1, 2. We decrease. I mean, it's pretty interesting when you think about how much information I'm able to glean from this, because I mean, we're kind of trained to think like, oh yeah, reading is this absolute like pathway to knowledge, which I mean it is. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still good to know how to read, and in many parts of society it's very difficult to understand like how to get around without being able to know how to read. But it's also interesting to think about how many creatures go through life without ever knowing how to read, or how to read in another language. I mean, just because you know one language doesn't mean you know how to read another language. Like, think about all the people who have been illiterate and yet have managed to live decades without, like, living their entire lives without knowing how to read it. And they knew a lot of stuff. Like, imagine, like, how smart they must have been to learn and retain that and not have a way to, like, look back at that. Like, how did they keep track? Or, like, animals, too. I mean, we have other species living in our houses, yeah, and we expect them to know certain rules and whatnot. And they do this all without ever learning English or ever learning human language. Like, we live with these creatures and we know that we love them and whatnot, but they somehow get along with us without ever what's it called? Without ever fully understanding us in that way. It's really intriguing. Six rows, just a simple crochet all around. It's like growing up, like, it was very much like academic. It was realized very quickly that I understood things academically pretty well, and that was very much enforced and whatnot. And like, I went for it because I liked it. But as I've gotten older, it's definitely been a broadening of perspective that there are multiple ways to know how to do something, and not everyone learns the same way. And it's interesting just how much information is there without, like, being there in the way you expect it to be there. It is around that stitch. Okay. I feel like I gotta weave the ends in of that yarn before I go too much farther, because otherwise it's just going to get in the way. There we go. I didn't want to stop in the middle of a row before I did that, so we're just going to extend that a little bit. I'm going to flip this inside out, and then we're going to weave that end in. So I'm talking about this right here. Just pull it and then there we go. Just weave it through a couple of the stitches here. You know, I still have a couple of squeakers left from when I made the rooster. I could turn this into a squeaky toy, but I don't think I will. But the thought is there. The thought is there. I could have totally turned this into a squeaky toy. That is just like the perfect size. All right. So it wants me to do 4 stitches, and then it wants me to decrease. I know this is like a French word. It's like, it looks, I guess in French it would be like talon or something like that. But in English it would just be talon. Just like equals talon. And like, it seems strange to think of a frog having claws. Oh, man. Maybe that word did come to English by French. It's entirely possible. So I just make like 4 stitches, just as normal. And then I do 1 decrease 1 stitch. So I do it till the very end, it looks like. So there should be 13 left. Yeah, the next... Ah, okay. 1 decrease till that. So we're making the top part of the flipper now. I guess this foot could essentially be the flipper. Frogs don't I mean, they have web... I think we call them web feet. We don't necessarily call them flippers when they're frogs, do we? You know, I wrote an entire report on frogs when I was like in the 6th grade. And I knew all this information about frogs, but I can't quite remember it now. It's amazing how much more children care about animals than adults do. It's like you talk to any little kid and you mention animals and it's like, oh yeah. And then you talk to an adult and it's like, it's like something we forget. We fill them up with other like stuff. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Okay. It said repeat it, but it didn't repeat the way I expected to, but I still have the right amount of stitches, so it's all good. Oh, gotta do that. So now for the next row, I do the same 4 stitches, and then I do the same thing, and I should end up with 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just decrease that again. Okay. Which it should take quicker this time because there are less stitches. And now it ends where it's supposed to end. All right. So with the next several rows, it looks like I'm just continuing the same thing. So I'm going to check back when I get done. Like, so it's still going to have me decrease. It's going to have me do like 1 more row with the 9 stitches, then decrease 1 stitch. And then for the next 9 stitches after that, I do like another tube, which you've seen me do tubes. Before I increased. So I will check back in a little bit. And I will show you the progress on what I assume to be the leg. All right. I have gotten up to the point that the pattern says next. So now it looks like it wants me to increase. And it says début de la coussi. I have no idea what that means. It's like the beginning. It's like it's the beginning of another part of how do they call it again? La Grenouille would be my best bet. So I just make the stitch and then I increase, and that should... See, the one thing that is not so great about this book is there's only one picture of the patterns, and it's only from one shot. So there's no picture of what it could look like from the back. Wait. Okay, I was just like running my mouth so much I forgot where I was. But I'm back. And I think the part that I'm working on now is a part that is not visible from... Wait a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. I made one. And then I increased here. And I made one. Oh. I was running my mouth too much. That's okay. That's our safety line, though. That's our safety line, the stitch marker. Also, it's... What I just want to say is at beginning, it says, like, Travas and in spiral. Which was good. It's, like, work in spiral, because I just automatically did it in spiral. I didn't even question the fact that it should have been in spiral. It's like, oh, cool. So I make one, and then I increase one. There's also one part that said, like, it says, place una nu marqueur in the 12th stitch, and I did that. I didn't even question it. I didn't read that sentence beforehand, but I just did it automatically because I knew I would be lost. So if I'm doing this correctly, I should end on an increase stitch. But, oh. I'm not going to end on an increase stitch, but how many do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Huh. That's not where I should be. It looks like... But when you have to increase and you're adding one more extra, you just take out one of the increases and you do the stitch and boom, now I have 12. So I lost track somewhere here. Now I just do one in all of the stitches, all 12 of them. And the great thing is, like, if I hadn't told you that I made that mistake and how I fixed it, you would have never have noticed I made that mistake unless you spent a lot of time staring at my little frog. Most people are not going to spend that much time staring at my frog. Go. Got another stitch, and now on row 23. Row 23 it wants me to increase it all again to reach 18, which makes sense. And then it's pretty much the same for the rest falling out. So it just wants me to, like, increase one and decrease one, and then make one, decrease one at the very end. So that way we got something of a little wobble thing. And then it says, make the there's a sentence that looks like it says make it the same thing again. It's like realises un second parte de la même manière. There's one part about it's like brodes vos grand points lances avec de la velvet and double pour le pierre palme. I don't know what that means. But it seems like it's like fasten off, make the second one, stuff the feet. So I'm going to come back when it's time to start the body. All right. We had the legs. So they kind of look like dumbbells right now. Just like the way that they're shaped and whatnot. And I did make the second leg right after because I am working with a variegated yarn and I wanted the legs to be like somewhat close in color. The hole on the bottom is a bit concerning to me because I can see through it. Like I can literally see through it on both. And then I realized, if you look at the picture of La Grenouille, you look at the bottom of the little feet, there's like some yarn marks that I couldn't account for. And then I realized that sentence I was saying where it's like, it was like, do 4 something that I didn't quite understand what it was saying. It was to do like, do 4 stitches of this because it looks like there are 4 coming out of the feet. And if I had realized that, the ends that I ended up weaving in and cutting off, I could have used that to sew that. Back when we were like further down still, and instead of waiting till the very end. But I know that for next time. And at this point, I'm wondering whether I should just wait till they're sewn on and then I can use this, or if I should wait till the yarn gets like super variegated to a different part of the variegation where it's a lot darker, and then that way I got like this nice like design on the bottom of the feet. That could be nice too. But now we are going to start with le corps. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I could be entirely butchering French and I have no idea because I've never learned. I mean, I've heard lots of people speaking French, but I never really understood it. There are people who speak French at work too, but there's not as many of them as the Spanish speakers. Usually the people who speak French at work, they come from the Caribbean or from one of the former French colonies in Africa. So it wants me to do another 12 stitches in the magic circle again. Just like that. And it looks like, in this case, there's like a sentence, like I'm finding out some words. So I know avec is with, but it's like le velvet. I think that's green yarn. I think le velvet refers to green yarn. And it also looks like from a direction between le corps and la tête that there's no separation. Usually there's like a little thing that says like fasten off, save like a long tail. I don't see any save a long tail instructions, or at least I'm not recognizing them as such. But I am like, the fact that it goes from like row 19 to row 20 from the head shows me that they're still connected, but they're still mentioning it. It's kind of like Europe and Asia. We pretend they're 2 separate continents, but in reality, it's just one. It's just Eurasia. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're probably only separate because the white people would have freaked out. If we're being quite honest here, it's probably the white people that would have freaked out. Because they're weird like that. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, do I have 13 here? It's twisting on me. Looks like we got... So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. Focus, Becky, focus. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I do have 13. It's an easy fix. We just take that out. There we go. All right. Why is this not pulling in? Oh, am I pulling it in the wrong direction? Like, there we go. Okay. This one, it wants me to, well, also it says to work in spirals. Good. I was going to work in spirals anyway. And now it tells me to do it differently than the foot. It tells me to make one increase instead of just increasing every stitch. Which means this is going to be more of a gradual increase, which I think will serve the frog better. I thought starting with the 12 and then going to 24 was a bit quick. But going gradually, like, make one, then increase, make one, then increase, better. Make one, then increase. So I found out with the second leg that I ended up in the same boat as I did with the first one, where I suddenly found myself with an extra stitch. I realized the mistake must have happened further down. So either the book got the direction wrong, or I did it wrong somewhere along the lines. Both of which are entirely possible. But it will be hard to know unless I confer with, like, someone who speaks French and then talk with them at length. Which, I mean, it's possible, but is it really that big of a deal? I'm just glad the mistake is the same in both legs, so it looks intentional, you know? It's kind of like when you make a mistake, or like, if you run out of yarn, you can purposely change yarn, and you run out of the color, whatnot. If you purposely change the yarn in a place where there's a natural separation anyway, it's like, well, yeah, that was intentional. You can play it off like that. Instead of going like, oh, it was an accident. I lost this game of yarn chicken and I ran out of yarn. There you go. So we have our second row, and I guess I should be using the stitch counter. Yeah. There you go. So now it wants me to do 2 stitches and then 1 increase in order to get to 24. And that is the easier way to take it. There we go. Wait. I lost count again. I got distracted again. So I have 1 single crochet stitch in. Now I have 2 single crochet stitches in. And now I increase. 1, 2. So it's 1, 2. I do not know any numbers in French. 1, 2. Although I have heard that numbers in French are a lot more confusing than in other languages. I've heard comparatively speaking, I've heard numbers in Chinese is so simple and so amazing, but that has the other problem of tone, which I'm afraid I would mess up severely. But or French, it's like I've heard 80 is like 420s, and then it's like the 90 is like 420s 10. It's like the whole name of the number is a math problem, like Roman numerals. I mean, yeah, that is a real feeling of Roman numerals, that they don't have a 0. That's why we have the Arabic numbers. Because Arabic numbers understand you need a 0. 0 makes life so much simpler. It kind of bugs me when things use Roman numerals to like number things. So it's like, oh, now I gotta think. In this effort to try to look fancy, you're making me think. Tarot cards have that problem a lot. They insist on using Roman numerals, and it's like, just use the freaking number, please. Especially like numerology is supposed to be a big thing with tarot cards, right? It's like, just have the number there so it's easy to count. All right, so for the 4th row, they just want me to do one all the way around. I'm probably going to weave that in despite knowing what we knew about the legs. I'm still going to weave it in. Because I don't see that same instruction. Anyway. I guess the owner of this pattern is okay with the frog having a butthole. I probably didn't need to say that, but too bad. Do frogs actually have buttholes? I know frogs can't drink. They absorb any liquid they need through their skin. So their mouth only absorbs solid food. They must. Yeah, frogs must have a butthole in some fashion. All right, so now it wants me to increase again. So I'm creating like a ball, it looks like. I'm increasing, then decreasing. And then I'll be like increasing again, then decreasing again. I don't know if you just heard my stomach, but that was my stomach. I may need to go get some flies soon. Maybe not flies, maybe more human food, but yeah. Okay. So it wants me to like do 2, then increase. Okay. So again, 1, 2, then 1, 2. 1, 2. I mean, this one's going relatively fast, comparatively speaking. There we go. Oh, good. It seems like I haven't lost track. I was afraid I had. Okay. That was row 5. So for like the next 8 rows, they just want me to do the same thing. So at first I'm just gonna weave in. So you can see here, like there's one part where it's like that. That's where I kind of just went into only the back loop, which is something I do when there's only like the second row, because it's very hard to like get a handle on the crochet the way it properly is. But then like when it's that small, but then once I got a little bit more going on, I go underneath both loops of the stitch. So I'm just gonna like put the hook in there and kind of just weave it through. I do it for like an inch or so, so that way if it comes out at one point, it doesn't necessarily come out for all of it. It's kind of forcing a maze, if you will. You know, I recently found out that YouTube was writing transcripts for my videos, which was both humbling and exciting and overall intriguing. Because it gave me a sense of what it would look like when someone is like, or a computer is transcribing what I talk. Like, I was amazed at how much they got right, although according to YouTube it looks like I just talk in one run-on sentence, and well, like if I were to write it down for myself, I would be doing separate sentences throughout. But also, like, anytime I veered into another language, it didn't understand me. It had a hard time understanding when I said COVID. So many misspellings there. But also, like when I watch TV, it's like I put on subtitles and I watch like the subtitles while I'm watching it. Kind of watching myself have subtitles was kind of an out-of-body experience. It was like, whoa. Anyway, that was just really, really cool. So I'm gonna come back when I've done like just a straight up crochet, and I'm gonna come back when it's time to decrease. All right, I have the body, which, like, when I was commenting on the book, I said how it seemed like a lot of it could just fit into the palm of my hand. And I mean, once I sew on the legs, it's not going to be able to fit into the palm of my hand. But right now, I mean, just look at that. Pretty nice, right? So now it wants me to decrease. So it looks like I'm just going around twice and making it smaller. Well, I do the 2 stitches twice and then I decrease like that. Yep. While I was doing it, I actually lost track of, like, I accidentally hit the row counter before I finished a row at all. So it's like I was trying to mentally remind myself, like, hey, Becky, don't hit it after this next row, so that way you're back on track. But then I just had to reset the row counter because I forgot every time and hit the row counter clicky thing. And it was like, let's not think about this anymore. Let's take the easy way out here. Let's just fix it. So in a way, it kind of felt like daylight savings time having to reset my counter. there's a nice scene from Community where both Troy and Annie are around Abed as the custodian or the janitor changes the time, and he's like Abed's like screaming, and one of them tries to comfort him by saying like, it's okay, we get the hour back towards the end of the year, and he's like, but it doesn't make any sense, and yet daylight savings time doesn't make any sense. I think they just tried to get rid of it this past year. I think we're just going to be stuck in daylight savings time forevermore. I may be wrong about that, though. A lot has happened in the news. Like, so much has happened in the news, it's hard to keep track of what even happens anymore. Like, there was that one day in, like, I want to say the 1930s where the announcer said, there is no news. And I know that's never going to happen again, because even if there are, like, no hard-hitting news, there will be some little fluff thing that we can talk about. Also, I mean, there's 7 billion plus humans in the world. Someone's going to be stirring up drama somewhere. Question is whether it's drama we want to be stirring up or not. So this is having me do like a gradual decrease, it looks like, because it's now having me do like 1 stitch in every single one. Alright, that's row 16. Row 17, it wants me to do the same thing again, where I decrease by 2s, and it's kind of like a reverse of what happened as we got bigger. I do appreciate like rows that decrease though, because when you want to feel like you're making progress and suddenly you're decreasing on different rows, it feels like you're going faster, and that's pretty exciting. There we go, that's 17. Oh. This says something a little bit different. So it's like baptise, which I guess it's like do. It's like 2 single stitches, 1 decrease, repeat. And then it's like de a sortal del tour et termines par 2 singles. So you have 14 stitches total. So it's like, I guess the last 2, I guess this is saying the last 2 stitches should be single crochet. And then there's a little instruction that says rembourrez le corps. And in fact, like, I don't know what rembourrez is, but the fact is followed by le corps. I'm assuming this is the part where they want me to stuff it, because it's like the second to last row in the body, and this is the point of the pattern where they typically would tell me to stuff it. It's a lot easier to stuff the body through this part right here than it is if I were to wait for the head and then try to stuff it through the head and stuff the body that way. It would make for a relatively misshapen head. Which, I mean, the head of the frog is kind of misshapen anyway, but so we're just gonna do that thing here and hope I got it right. Oh yeah, it's going to end exactly where it says it was going to end. Good on you, pattern book. Good on you. I guess I better go get my stuffing. So my stuffing's like hiding back here. Big 10-pound box that is probably like halfway full. Something just fell. I'm gonna find out what that is later. So we're just gonna put that in there. And I think we are coming close to stuffing the body as far as I probably should. Because you want to like stuff it so it doesn't... That just knocked over a vase. But the vase was made out of cardboard, so nothing broke. As I was saying, you want to stuff it to the point where it's like it's not going to collapse in on itself and it doesn't look like it has like loose skin. But you don't want to stuff it so hard that it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger taunt. It's like, oh my gosh, is that thing even real? It's like it's bursting out of its seams. You want a happy medium there. Anyway, let me put that back where it should be and find out what I knocked down. It looks like I knocked over paint, yarn, and the magnifying glass. But the way the magnifying glass dropped, it was on its side, so I don't think it's like broken. I know it was stored there because I didn't really have a home for any of that other stuff. Anyway. Yeah, that magnifying glass is bought when I was going to be introducing textiles into handicraft at the Boy Scouts. Dad got it for me so that way the boys could look through the magnifying glass and then count the different threads in the fabric, because that was like part of the requirements, and that was my personal one and not one that I left there. I don't know if I did leave one there. There are like many things, like when I go to a job, I often make it my own. And so I will often like bring stuff to make life easier. Probably because I grew up with scouting. Both scouting, both Boy Scout and Girl Scouting have, I think is the motto, not the slogan. The motto is be prepared. Well, if you want to be prepared, there's usually some little gadget that can help. However, if you subscribe to that theory in many different parts of your life, after a while, you end up with clutter. That can be very, very difficult to get rid of, because I got this to be prepared. What if that situation comes up after I give it away? Things get very sentimental very quickly. There we go. This is the body. Ooh. My wrist did not like that. You see, I think I strained my wrist, or I like brought up my carpal tunnel again a couple days ago. I ended up having to leave work early because of it, and then I took like 2 days off, and I don't think that was enough time. And by 2 days off, I mean 2 days off from knitting. I'm still on the time off from work. But yesterday I couldn't help. I just had to crochet. I had to do something. Because if I'm not doing something with my hands, I default to my eyes, and like... So this is like splitting up La Tête and Munton. Okay, so I think what it wants me to do is it wants me to make 5 stitches, and then it wants me to increase in the next 6. All right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we increase in the 1. You see, I went to a yarn store, and usually I would have wound all the yarn into balls by now. But I haven't done so because I know that would throw out my wrists quicker than just regular like knitting or crocheting. I might have done overkill today, honestly. That's how we learn. Because I was crocheting something else off screen. Okay. So now it wants me to do 6, then increase 10, then do 1. Okay. So it also, once you stuff something, that thing becomes a lot heavier to lift, although, I mean, it is like the perfect size of a stress ball to hold. This is where my mind's going. Like, I hope I'm teaching this week. But by teaching, like, I have a particular subject I would like to teach this week. We'll see if work follows through or not. 5, 6. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 9, 10. Oh, good. I'm still on the count. Let me just do 1. And then the next row is like, just do 1 in every stitch, which honestly makes sense. Because, like, look at how that's increasing, right? Like, I feel like the pattern's going to need, like, we need a breather. Like, give us a chance to breathe. Oh. It just tried pulling out on me. We are not going to let it get away with that. There we go. Like, I'm working from something I didn't bother rolling into a ball. So now it's like, if it gets a knot, then I'll have to roll into a ball. But we're being very, very careful. Like, you probably noticed, like, for most of the video, I've been holding it up here, but now that it's stuffed, I've actually, like, put this down. It's not that much of a difference, but it's made enough of a difference, you know? There we go. So it wants me to do 6 stitches, and then it wants me to do one, increase one, and then keep on repeating except for the 1 stitch at the end. Okay. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be interesting to see, like, I'm sure it told me, but it's going to be interesting to see what this considers the front of the frog to be. I mean, or at least what I consider the front of the frog to be. Like, I've got the feeling the answer is between the tit and the menton. I wonder if menton is face. I mean, it's not like I'm making a nose for the frog. So, talking in the middle of this row when I have to increase and do that is probably not the best of ideas. But, it's like, it's not like the frog has a face that needs to be, like, strictly adhered to, but other animals there were. So what would be an animal that has a face that needs to be strictly adhered to? That's most of them, actually. Let's see. One where you would, like, make the face and the nose at the same time. So probably the squirrel, I guess. So that would be... Does the squirrel have the same la tête? The squirrel does not have the same instruction. Alright. I mean, to be fair, the frog has a face unlike any of the other animals in the book. Maybe the hippopotame? That's it. No. Maybe Le Basset or Le Renard. No, not the Basset Hound. I may have to ask somebody about that. Anyway, let's go back to where I was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh. Even when I'm being chaotic, I have some sort of sense about me. That is good to know. Okay. So we got this. And then we increase. And it's like every other one, it looks like. make one, then we increase. Which is a slower way to do it. Okay. But it's more gradual. I'm going to assume that the part, like you see how it's like jutting out here. I'm assuming this is going to be the face. This part that I'm working so diligently on here. Yes, and it's ending exactly the way it said it would, with one extra stitch at the end, which is good. This goes through like this. Yes. Okay. Now, we are getting to that point where I know that I need a meal. I did have some food with my last break, but I can sense that I am very, very close to getting hangry. And there's also some things I need to do before I have to report back to work tomorrow. So I'm going to pause here and pick up a little bit later on, for me at least. But if there's an outfit change between this moment and the next editing shot, that's why. Because I have to remind myself that I'm a human. All right, I'm back. So I've run into a bit of a problem here with the frog. So where I left off with you guys, I think was row 23, and then it was like, all right, let me just finish off the head, why not? And then I'm now stuck at 26. 24, like 23 is like make one, increase one, repeat until it ends with 37 stitches. And I had 37 stitches. And then I went all the way around, and now on row 26, it wants me to go to 22 stitches. And the instructions I have are like, make 6 stitches, decrease 1 5 times, and then 1 stitch, and that should equal 22 stitches. But that's not where it ends for me. So what I've done so far is I have attempted to follow that with make 6 stitches, then decrease 1 stitch, and repeat that segment 5 times, because I see fois. I don't know what that means, but I see fois later on, so I'm guessing that's their word for repeat. Unless there's a technique I don't know about that's called fois, that is entirely possible. No. So I did that, and then I ended up with way too many stitches. And then I tried just doing 6 and then decreasing 5 times, and then 6 and then decreasing 5 times. And I still had too many stitches, and it didn't end with 1. What I just tried, and what's currently in here, is I decreased every 5. But that leaves me at 32. This wants me to do 22, and the 22, like, the 22 is, I think, what the author intends, because it goes down to 17. So let me like switch my angle for you so you can like see what I'm talking about here with the map. All right, so let me like just write up on my ceiling here exactly what I'm seeing. So I see so with this instruction, row 26, make 6 single crochets, decrease 1 by 5, and do 1 single crochet. That's that. So if I were to do it, and what I have from the previous row is 37 ms. So the amount that I would need to decrease in order to get 22 would be 15 single crochets. I would need to remove that many stitches to get here. If I were to interpret this as 6 single crochet plus 1 decrease, that would be like, so 6 5 times 5 equals 30, and then this would be decreasing every 5 stitches. That'd be another 10. Wait, but I still have 37 in it, I believe. Let me just remove my progress so I can tell you just exactly how many stitches I actually have. All right. This is like the fourth time I've torn this out. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I tore it out too far. Let me just put that stitch back in while praying that I don't get high off of the dry erase marker. There you go. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I do have the 37. So I know it's this row that's causing me trouble. So let me just erase this here. So let me show you what happened with the first row. I know there's an algebraic equation about it, but it's been a while and I don't quite remember how to do that. So if I start with 37, then 6, that's 31, yeah? Then the decrease leads to I lose 2 stitches. It becomes, then when I do the decrease, it goes to 30. So that's the first time. Then I lose another 6, 24, and then that ends up going down to 23. That's the second time. And then I lose another 6. That goes down to 17. And then I decrease another stitch. It goes down to 16. That's the third time. You can still see this, yeah? Yeah, okay. And then I lose another 6. That's 10. Goes down to 9. That's the 4th time. And then I lose another 6. That's 3. And then that decreases down to 2. That's the 5th time. And I should have 1 stitch left. I'm not sure why the math is working here, but it wasn't working on that. But anyway. What I also tried was I tried doing 6, and then I decreased by, so that was like another 10 stitches. I decreased another 10 to bring it down to the 5. Then I did a 6, and then I did another decrease by 10 to the 5. So that would be 22 without the extra. But I also had so many extra stitches. I don't know what I'm missing here. And then I tried decreasing by 5. So it was 37 minus 5. 32, and then I decreased, brings it down to 31. So that's the first one. 5 would be 26, and then you decrease it down to 25 because you end up losing that stitch. That would be the second time. Then 5, that's 20. It goes down to 19. That's the third. Anyway, that also did not get me where I needed to go. Because even here... Well, wait. No, that is exactly what I did. But even so, I only lost 5 stitches throughout this whole process. Alright, I lost 1 stitch here. I lost 1 stitch here, 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 I lost 1 stitch here. That's 5 stitches total. I need to lose 15. And here, I lost 10 stitches total before I got to the 22. And I had so many left over. I had like 5 left over. Or whatnot. By that point. So I still don't have like the proper amount of stitches that I need to lose in order to get to that. And I want to make sure I get to the 22 because I have to decrease in the next row. So while I am like interpreting the, like, I am like following a language that I don't understand. The fact that I'm coming across this mistake now makes me think that I actually found a typo in the book. I'm missing some information here, especially since I'm supposed to have 1 stitch left over. As I'm going back here, so I lose 5. As I continue, that's 14. And then that goes down to 13. I lose another 5. Oh, my handwriting gets so sloppy over here. Ah! Am I blocking it now? No, okay. I lose another 5. That's 8. And that goes to 7. So that's the 4th time. This is the 5th time. And then I don't have enough, and then I have like 1 more. Alright, so I minus 5 equals 2, and then that goes down to 1. That's the 6th time I decrease. So I'm only losing 6 stitches if I follow this pattern, which means I still have too many stitches left to do. I need to find something that lets me evenly, well, minus 1, but lets me lose 15 stitches from 37 to 22. That I do remember how to do an algebraic equation for. So it would be 37 equals x plus 15, right? Actually, it would be x plus y plus 1, because we have this one stitch right here. And I'm assuming that one stitch is important. And our y equals the 15. So we minus the 1. That's 36 equals x plus y. So we're going to change our y to 15. So we're going to minus the 15, which is 22, as I found out earlier. So x equals 22, so I need to space out 22 stitches evenly? Wait. No, I need more than that, don't I? This is not the equation we want to do right now, because this is the main equation. Wait, I can get rid of that too. I don't need that right now. There was a time in my life I took calculus. That time has long been blotted from my memory, although my calculus teacher was amazing. But I just don't remember much about math. Okay. Let's think this through here. I need to decrease 15 stitches. From 37. What kills me is that there's like a simple algebraic way to do this and I can't remember it. But we're gonna figure it out. So that means I need to work 15 decreases throughout 37. Wait, so if I were to do 3x plus 37. Oh, this is like a brand new marker, but it's not used to being upside down. There you go. Plus y. And we want y to be like our 15 decreases, yeah? Maybe. Anyway. There's an easier way to do this. All right. All right. I want to get from here to here. There's 15 that have to go down. We already know that 5 is not enough. You already know that 6 is not enough. if I were to do it every other one with one, could that be it? So it'd be 37. Can you guys see that? Yeah, 37 minus 1, 36. And then the decrease goes to 35. Minus 1 is 34. And then the decrease goes to 33. Then minus 1 is 32. Then the decrease makes it go down to 31. So this is one time, second time, third time. Minus 1 is 30, and then the decrease goes down to 29. That's the fourth time. Minus 1 is 28, the decrease goes down to 27. That's the fifth time. That could work, maybe. And then minus 1, 26, decrease goes down to 25. That's the sixth time. 6 times in that. I think I'm willing to give that a shot. Anyway, I'm gonna keep on trying it and we'll see. But yeah, I think I came across a mistake in the pattern with that one line, because since I hit 37 and the pattern said 37 on 25 and like before that, I know it's this one line that is wrong. So we're gonna give it a shot. I mean, I've already narrowed down that it isn't 5 and it isn't 6, so I have a maximum of 4 more times to try this out. Alright, the good news is I figured out what the problem was with the instruction. It took 2 tries. So I went with the one model of make 1, decrease 1, make 1, decrease 1. And I still had too many stitches. I ended up with 25 instead of the 22. So I just went like, you know what? Let's disregard the 5 part of the instruction. Like, I think it wants me to make the 6 stitches for some reason. Plain. So I'm just going to make those 6 stitches. And then I'm just going to decrease until I hit the end. And hopefully, like, if there's 37, that last one's going to be odd. So I did that. And I have 22. So the fact that it told me to decrease 5, like, to do it 5 times, so inaccurate. I actually ended up decreasing, how many was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, yeah. Like, 14 to 15 times. Like, I had figured out with the math. But at least I will be able to go forward being able to trust the rest of the pattern. Hopefully. I hope the mistake is only in that one part. And the rest of it is just make this decrease, make this decrease. So we'll see. So hopefully by the time I decide to check back in, the whole body part is of the head. I'm not necessarily going to show myself making this part because if I do, I would have to hold it up. And my wrist isn't really feeling that right now. So I just want to be able to hold it down on the table, which unfortunately means it would be out of sight for you. But I'm going to check back in real soon. All right. I finished the body. And I think I know where the intended head of the froggy is, possibly. I'm not sure it's in... Something about this frog seems off. because the head part that's jutting out is like the part that's flat, and then like the back is kind of like going that. But I mean, it's just gonna be a wonky frog, that's all. The pattern itself was wonky anyway, so what we have left is the arms and the eyes. So I'm going to make an arm, I'm going to make an eye, and then we're just going to put it all together. So actually, I should probably just reach for that now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we're at the point where we're like 95% done for what we have left. So for the arm, yeah, this was a nice pattern until I came across that one row that was like, why? Why? So it starts with Montes un chaînette 12 and yeah, I'm gonna chain plus 1 chain to turn the green yarn. So in reality, I make 13, right? That's how that is. I actually make 13. They're just superstitious about saying 13. Well, I guess maybe that's the French way of saying, like in English, you would just say like, start in the second chain from the, like start in the second stitch in the chain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So then I make 11 stitches, so second chain in the stitch, 11 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then I chain 6. Oh, okay. So I chain 6, I make a single crochet, I chain 6, I make a single crochet, I chain 6, I make a single crochet, all within the same stitch, which is a lot for a stitch to hold, but I understand. And then I do 11 on the other side. Okay. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. And then I do my single crochet here. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do another single crochet. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to do that on the other side of whatever that stitch is. So it's a little bit more spread out. There we go. Now we have a little flippy floppy. And then I do 11 on the other side. So now it's 1. Yeah. It went through the stitch. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. I think I skipped a stitch somewhere. 8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm in the turning chain. Okay. 11. Okay. So that's our arm. I'm going to leave enough yarn so that way I can sew it on pretty easily. Just like thread it through here to be a little bit more secure. There we go. Arm. I'll just have to weave that in, and that is a lot. That looks distinctly Irish. That's like a shamrock. Then the I is pretty easy. The le you. It's like make a magic circle. Put 6 stitches. No, put 8 stitches in the magic circle, and then 1 stitch to seal it off. So it's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So now we have 8. And we just pull the magic circle here. Kind of like that. We put 1 stitch. Yeah, we put a slip stitch through. And there's our eye. I just have to like do some sort of stitch here. Point it at terre. What is the point of the terre? Something. I just also have to put a mouth on this at some point. So I'm going to now make the other 2 halves of this, and then I'm going to assemble it, and the next time I turn the camera on, little froggy here should be done. It's done. So this is the, there you go. This is the picture of what I was working towards. And this is what I have. Which is not exactly the same, but it's close enough. I'd call this a success, yeah? I ended up having to, when it came to assembling it, I just disregarded the written instructions and I just looked at the picture And I didn't stuff the legs all the way because I realized from the way the picture was that if I had stuffed that this part was flat and like sewn on to kind of like buffer it a little bit to make it more secure. Because my instinct would have been just to stuff it all the way and then like glue it on, but apparently that's not how it did. And then I just had it go down so it could go like this. The eyes were like a bit. I realized the flat part was in front, and that's probably how it got like those dents. I was curious how they got the dents from, because it was like they probably like sewed it and then pulled it too much, and then when they pulled it too tight, it created those dents, kind of like what you see in my face, the laugh lines. But I didn't do that, so it just has a flat face. And honestly, it told me to do something that it was like when I tried it, it's like this isn't like what the book says it's doing. That's not what's actually happening here. So I'm just gonna wing it here. And the eyes, I mean, I'm not really crazy with how the eyes turned out. I was hoping for them to be more googly, but what we do have here is a sad Kermit without the collar. That is essentially what we have here. And honestly, not a bad frog. I would say, considering that I wasn't quite understanding the entire... I mean, I did understand most of it, honestly. I understood most of it to get that. There are just some parts, like row 26 of the head, were a bit difficult. But I would call this a success. So that was today's entertainment. Have a nice day. Au revoir.